I want to be transparent and say it's not been just a rocket trajectory, right? There's been bankruptcy and a house foreclosure 20 years ago, and a car that was repossessed, and I laugh, and clients and I laugh that maybe that's how I got my master's in bookkeeping, and having to learn how to run a good business and deal well with finances. So.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be awesome. In 2008, our guest today started his bookkeeping business from his kitchen table in Seattle with one very part-time employee. Then he would go on to help lead and grow his team to 15 employees in 5 states, producing more than $1 million. That's $1 million a year in recurring revenue. As a result, System 6 Bookkeeping has become quite an incredible and inspiring success story, and Jeremy Allen is a big reason why. Jeremy, welcome to the podcast.
It's an honor to be with you today, Michael. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. And we were chatting a little bit before the show, and you've got some really interesting experiences, really broad experiences that I'm sure have led to your success. But let's actually open that up and share with our listener a little bit about yourself. Tell us your career background leading up to where you are today.
I hope you can hear me smile. That's funny because it's really not that sexy or exciting. It's actually got a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but glad to share. I've always been an entrepreneur. Probably many of the listeners, right? If they're seeking out a podcast on building a successful bookkeeping and accounting practice, there's probably some entrepreneurial blood there. And so I started out as an entrepreneur. I got in trouble several times at school for doing things like recording copies of cassette tapes and reselling them, and having the principal say, "I think that's copyright infringement. You can't really build a business doing that." And and fast forward, was pretty entrepreneurial, started, mowing lawns and serving folks in the neighborhood, selling magazine subscriptions, whatever I could do to create a bit of an income. And we, as a family, growing up in Alabama, didn't have a lot of money. And so if I needed to work and be able to afford the small boom box or, the new pair of sneakers, or I would, go and do what I needed to do. And so worked delivering pizza, worked as a waiter. I had a computer consulting practice that I started shortly out of high school. And oddly enough, with a Air Force ROTC scholarship, there was a really key juncture for me where I was given a 4-year scholarship to any school that would accept me, and somewhere got disillusioned with how structured college was and ended up going to manage an Arby's roast beef. And so I don't know if you've ever had Arby's, but Arby's or the Air Force, the two completely different paths, and went to manage an Arby's, only lasted about 6 months, didn't take the scholarship, and ended up from there, really had to develop my entrepreneurial chops and get right into business. I let go of the scholarship, started working at Arby's. That didn't work out as I had hoped. Learned a ton about team building and goal setting and coaching, and yet didn't want to be an Arby's roast beef manager for the rest of my life. So started a computer consulting practice, and from there have built several businesses, sold a few of them, none of which have been incredibly sexy. I think today we read the news that Matt from T-Sheets Intuit is purchasing T-Sheets for $360 million. None of my exits have been like that. But as I build a small business and sell it, learned a bit more about business. And somewhere in the way, I was an executive director for BNI, Business Network International, learned a lot there, built and then sold that business, and had a pretty dynamic bankruptcy occur, and just kind of went up in flames in the early 2000s. I was in my young 20s and was making a lot of money, had B&I and a consulting practice and all kinds of things going on. But I had no idea about good bookkeeping and accounting. And many on the podcast listening might laugh. I had no idea that there were estimated tax payments. I thought all the money I made, I just got to keep. And then at the end of the year, when I sat down and did taxes with a CPA, he said, "Hey, Jeremy, that looks like a great year. You owe $25,000 or $30,000 in taxes." And my job hit the floor. And I said, "Well, I don't have that money sitting around." And so fast forward through a personal bankruptcy, and now almost 20 years later, have built, and am super thankful for the team that we built, the clients that we serve, have built $1 million a year bookkeeping practice. And we serve clients all around the country, have employees and team members in 5 different states. And it's really an honor that from an entrepreneurial perspective, I get to help other business owners, other entrepreneurs improve their businesses, run successful organizations, and it scratches my entrepreneurial itch. I get to serve other entrepreneurs and peek into their businesses, and that satisfies my desire to be an entrepreneur, but I don't have to go open the veterinary clinic or the chiropractic clinic or the local restaurant. We get to serve, those business owners who many have become friends, and that satisfies my entrepreneurial itch. So I think that's a little bit of background. There's probably a whole lot more there, but I want to be transparent and say it's not been just a rocket trajectory, right? There's been bankruptcy and a house foreclosure 20 years ago, and a car that was repossessed, and I laugh, and clients and I laugh that maybe that's how I got my master's in bookkeeping, and having to learn how to run a good business and deal well with finances. So,
oh my God, what a story! What a story! Where do I start? I mean, this is absolutely, it's just incredibly interesting, first off. And I think it's such a very different path than one would expect. And I think there's so many things that we can tap into here to understand your view of the world and how it's helped you be successful, because you come at this from a very, very different angle, which in E-Myth, they talk about the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. And, that's part of the story of E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth, is that most businesses get started from a technical standpoint. They're technicians who then start a business. You came at it from an entrepreneurial perspective, and then likely hired great team around you. But this story of your life and going through all these different experiences, and then brought it all together. When you started the bookkeeping business, I mean, you had to sort of what was going through your mind when you were about to start a bookkeeping business, having gone through bankruptcies, had different challenges like that?
That's a fun story that, condensed down for me is, you're right, an entrepreneurial journey. I mean, that's I feel like God has wired me that way from an early age. And so after bankruptcy in the early 2000s and getting a chance to serve and work with other business owners post that, I was working with B&I at the time doing some technology consulting, and I came to Seattle, Washington, where I worked for the family for 10 years and had an opportunity to learn a lot about business and real estate and book publishing, and that was an honor. And yet inside of there somewhere, a good friend of mine, we climbed Mount Rainier several times together, so we had a lot of opportunity, a lot of long nights in the tent and time on the rope. And he sold payroll for a local, national, well-known payroll company. And he said, "Jeremy, the number one thing people ask me when I'm helping them, convert their payroll over to this national payroll company is, do you know a good bookkeeper?" And he turned and said, that you've built really great systems and ways of doing bookkeeping and accounting for small business. And have you ever thought like that might be a business to start? And I was just doing that individually at the time as an employee. And I said, gosh, that's I haven't thought of that, but you're right. And, thought back to my own experiences of bookkeeping and accounting and having good business coaching and good advising around money would have made all the difference for me when I was in my young 20s. I was great at building a business. I was a great technician, right? I'd built a business. I was doing things very successfully, but didn't understand the money or the back office or the business processes. And so as Brett and I talked more about this potential need in the marketplace, Simon Sinek says, start with why, right? He has that famous TED Talk. And so Brett and I did a lot of soul searching and said, does the marketplace really need this? Do business owners need good bookkeeping, somebody to help run, at the time, QuickBooks and all the associated things that go with a business, payroll and bill pay and invoicing and state and city taxes. And the more we asked around and the more that we fished, and did our own little informal market research, came to the conclusion that there's a huge need in the marketplace, right? And so drawing on years of inspiration and years of listening to, I'm a huge, Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn or Dennis Whaley or, any of the guys and gals that are in personal development, huge fan of their work. And that's the kind of stuff that has inspired me to continue to learn and grow over the years. And they've, said often that like the key to greatness is serving many. And so I thought, gosh, can we serve many in the bookkeeping business? Is there a business to be had? And so after we validated the market research, again, super informally, that, there's a big need here, we sat down and started to spreadsheet out. Can we build a scalable, bookkeeping and accounting solution that would be a win for us? We'd have a lot of fun doing it. We'd make money doing it. Our team would be well compensated doing it, and that the client would be extremely well served with us serving those, serving and doing the bookkeeping. And so as we continue to spreadsheet and think and dream and grow, we somewhere in the 2007-8 timeframe said, I think there's a market for this. Yeah, let's go, let's do it. And so initially formed the entity. It was called Bullfrog Bookkeeping, which looking back now, I laugh and say thank you. We didn't keep that very long. I think I had that registered with the state of Washington for a couple of months, and then we made a change to System 6, Strategic Bookkeeping and Analysis, and that's stuck since then. And it really started with people asking my friend Brett, do you know a good bookkeeper? And then his and my time together where he said, hey, I think there's a real opportunity here. And, we did the hard work and the thinking and the spreadsheeting and figured out there was an opportunity. And that's how I started System 6. And it's kind of a fun aside. Brett he fell in love right around the time that we were going to start System 6. And he looked at me and said, Jeremy, I can't live off of a startup salary or no salary, right? I need to take a job where I make money because I'm going to propose to Holly. I'm going to marry her. They're now married. They've got 3 kids, and they're still dear friends here in Seattle. But he looked and said, you're going to have to do System 6 all by yourself. I can't. I've got to go do something different. And so I still thank Brett to this day for his, nobody builds a business by themselves. And, Brett gave a lot of great ideas. Another good friend of mine, Jordan, in the early days, helped with a lot of sales and marketing and relationship building before he moved away. He's now a CFO of a large multi-million-dollar seafood company in New York. But there were some key influences early on that those guys encouraged me. Start System 6. They felt like it was going to be a very successful company. And so now we of course, we text and exchange emails. And when we see each other, we laugh and go, who would have thought that this little bookkeeping idea would turn into a more than $1 million a year, multi-state, multiple employees. And we just continue to grow. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Beautiful. What an interesting path. And, some key things there, mentorship, working with people, being open to new possibilities. I mean, that's the entrepreneur, right? You saw and heard an opportunity in the marketplace and you went after it.
Agreed.
And then let's talk about some of the experiences, right? You have a big team, a lot of different branches. How did your experience working for Arby's bring that kind of thinking to your business, or did it?
I would connect a lot of dots there. I mean, starting with someone that when I was a waiter at Pizza Hut in high school, I think I was 16 years old, somebody pulled me aside. They tried to recruit me for Amway, which I don't blame them for at all. I'm really thankful they did. They gave me a book and a big tip one night after I served them, and that book was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I remember as a 16-year-old, that has been and still to this day is a fundamental cornerstone of caring for people, really being interested in others, and connect that dot with the Arby's experience. And the name of that company was RTM, Results Through Motivation, Inc. And so lots of processes, checklists, motivation, encouragement, lots of performance reviews and coaching. And so, How to Win Friends and Influence People how to get results through motivation and build processes and checklists. My time with BNI, Ivan Meisner often said when he would talk, whether he was talking, informally and we were playing a game of chess, which he 9 times out of 10 would beat me, but when he was giving a public speech or talking with his team, he'd say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so these, put together this how to win friends and influence people idea from an early age, learning about the importance of building processes and checklists and procedures and building a team, and then getting a chance to work with Ivan for several years and really hearing people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Translate that now, fast forward, our number one core value, we have 6 of them, and our number one core value is our client success is our success. And that really is a culmination of that idea that people don't care how much you know. People don't care how great of a bookkeeper or technician or what kind of team we've built. They really want to know that we're in their corner, that we care about their success, that we have our eyes on their P&L and on their balance sheet and the accuracy of the numbers and running good payroll. And, as we've continued to pay attention to our client success being our success, I truly think that's the flywheel. That is what's continued to let our business grow. And there's a lot in there, right? I mean, we have to be great at our craft. We have to be excellent bookkeepers and accountants and understand the numbers and be accurate and be efficient. But the fact that we care genuinely about our clients being successful, that I think makes all the difference. And our clients know that. They continue to refer new clients to us. Just last night, I got 2 emails where clients are referring other clients. And it's such an easy introduction, right? If we're doing a great job serving our clients, they say, hey, I want to introduce you to a good friend. They own a business. You guys should pick it up and run from here. And of course, that person being referred says, thank you. Like, I needed a great bookkeeper, and they're ready to go. They're ready to start, right? It's an immediate, a rapport is built and the relationship is going. So I'd track back to those early days. The question was, what did I learn from Arby's? Processes, results through motivation, building a team, caring about others genuinely, and having them be successful. Those pieces of DNA are woven into our fabric. They make all the difference, I feel like, for our company. And that would transpose onto any company, right? Bookkeeping, accounting, landscaping, a dental office, like the idea of truly caring for our clients and their success being our success, that's universal, right? I think that universal value, that universal characteristic, that makes us successful. And man, I think we could, that's the great thing about the entrepreneurial journey. Jim Rohn often said, don't become a millionaire for the million that you'll get, but for the person you'll become in the process. And I believe that you could probably take me or any other business owner that's been on that entrepreneurial journey and has had some measure of success, you could pluck us out and put us somewhere else. And the hope would be that we'd be able to take those same principles and build another business. And maybe it's not bookkeeping or accounting. Maybe it's, like I said, landscaping or, something else. But I think the principles of truly caring for our clients being successful, and you mentioned Michael Gerber, following processes, really understanding how to build an org chart out and build a great team so that not one person has to do everything. Like, those principles are universal and they'll help businesses be successful.
You absolutely. This whole concept of success, our client success is our success. I get the sense that you really know your value as an organization. And I think there's many listeners right now listening and thinking, wow, how could I ever get to that level? Or, they may not even want to get to that level, but how do we speak with so much confidence and be able to help our clients? I think your story is one of the best I've actually had on the podcast to demonstrate how truly valuable bookkeeping is in the business equation.
Yeah, yes and yes. And I wouldn't say yes to our story being the most valuable, but I would say that bookkeeping, I was just at QuickBooks Connect a couple of weeks ago, and Brad Smith, the CEO of Intuit, was speaking, and, he shared a stat, and I'm not sure where the stat comes from, and it's often shared throughout our industry, but I think his stat was, the number is 80% or more of businesses fail, and recognize that good bookkeeping, good financials is at the core of long-term success. And I would probably put a slight spin on that and say that, yeah, bookkeeping, I learned from a mentor early on, Dr. George Wong, who's a business success coach, former plastic surgeon turned business coach. And George would often say that flying an airplane is a lot like running a business. And if we run businesses and don't have accurate financials and don't know how to read a profit loss and a balance sheet and truly understand how to look at cash flow forecasting, he says it's like flying a plane by sight, right? Like you can only fly visually so far, so fast, so high. At some point, you need instrumentation. We need to know our altitude and our speed and how much fuel we've got in the tank, and then those gauges have to be right. And so I think that, yes, bookkeeping is that fundamental piece. It's, whenever I'm talking with a prospective client, I'll share that analogy that, gosh, they've built a great business. They know how to create revenue. They know how to serve clients well, but potentially their bookkeeping and back office is a disaster. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that come to us have that experience, and I give them kudos and say, hey, you've done a great job building a business, but at some point that plane will crash, right? I mean, you can only fly by sight for so long. And if you're going to continue to be a high-performing business owner and the team grows and the revenue grows and the expenses and complexity and payroll grows, at some point there's better instrumentation needed. There's better data needed. And so I think my own experience was that, and that has translated into a passion at System 6 that we recognize entrepreneurs are great at some things, building businesses and delivering great products and service in the marketplace. They might not be so great at QuickBooks or Xero or Bill.com or Fathom or any of the tools that we use, right? And that's okay. That's what we're here for. I think another great analogy that I share often is I can go to Home Depot or the local hardware store just like you can, Michael, and anybody can go buy the latest lithium-ion drill or tool set or saw. But, man, somebody that's a craftsman can do a lot more to build a house with that than I can. I just can't produce the same craftsman-style results. People can go get QuickBooks. They can go get Xero. They can easily subscribe to Gusto and all these services. But what we do with those tools as craftsmen that really know bookkeeping and accounting, the importance of how to plumb all those things together, I liken that to a great craftsman that comes to our house here and does repairs or helps build a remodel. Same tools, just a completely different knowledge and passion around what they're up to.
Beautiful. When someone's buying something from somebody, they're looking to that person to show them the way. They're looking for leadership, right? If they have a true problem and they're trying to solve that true problem, they're looking for leadership. Help me, right? And there's other parts to it, right? Trusting and, get credibility and all these different pieces. But at the end of the day, it's like, help me. And when you can stand there in front of them and be their peer at their same level and speak as an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, which you can, and show them the way and show them leadership, it's very, very good for business. And so I think that's what the listener right now can really listen for in the way that you're talking is that, listener, you are Jeremy. You are an entrepreneur. You may be more strong on the technical side, but you are an entrepreneur. If you have your own business, you are an entrepreneur, and right. You're Jeremy's peer. And so knowing that, wake up each day and think like that. And sometimes it's difficult and you have good days and bad days, of course, but that will help you express and communicate your value to potential clients and your current clients, and be able and enable you to be able to close more business at higher value, which turns around and comes back to your business. So that's why I just love this story, Jeremy, and you've been such a great guest. Before I let you go, I want to ask a few more questions. And one is, please. when you were building your business, the bookkeeping business, what did you run up against, if anything, and how did you get over it?
No, there's several things in there, and to talk about the nitty gritty of what kind of challenges we faced and how we truly built $1 million bookkeeping practice. I mean, I think you just summed it up a moment ago that there's this huge piece of philosophy and values and communication and confidence that's definitely a large part of our sales engine and marketing engine. Is I'm passionate about what we do and I'm confident in our team and we deliver great results, and that that just oozes out, right, of me and all of our team members. We can confidently say that, hey, we've got a great service, and we see the results. There's 30 or 40 positive 5-star Yelp reviews, et cetera. Like that values, that Simon Sinek starting with why, we built our company on core values, that piece is there. And then yet the technical side of building the business. I mean, some of the challenges we've run up against, and I imagine a lot of teams would run up against, is capacity. When we're good at what we do, there's a piece of old scripture, a saying that is, do you see someone skilled at what they do? They won't serve before obscure men. They'll serve before kings. And I translate that to our team and clients all the time that, hey, if somebody's good at what they do, their phone's going to ring off the hook, right? They're going to have a problem keeping up with the amount of potential clients. And so one of the things over the last 9 years has been, how do we not say no? A potential client comes to us, gets referred to us. How do we say yes to serving them, and then at the same time balance that with how much capacity we have? It's been one of the biggest challenges is how do we find and retain great team members? And those great team members have to have skill, right? As we've had a lot of people on the System 6 team that their heart's in the right place, high integrity and character, but maybe they're not a bookkeeping ninja. Maybe they're a good bookkeeper, but we need really top notch first-class bookkeepers. And so I think capacity for us has been a constant challenge. And one of the ways that we've addressed that, and I would encourage all the listeners on this podcast to really consider, you are not charging enough, more than likely, right? If I were to share how much, amen. Like if I were to share how much we charge our clients, we push the envelope on value. We'll charge $150 to $200 an hour for cleanup and catch up and process improvement work. We set our billing, fixed fee value billing by the week, and automatically process a weekly payment for over 70 of our clients where we're doing ongoing bookkeeping and accounting, and we're constantly pushing that envelope, not because we're greedy, right, but because we recognize that if our price is set too low, our phone's going to ring off the hook in such a way that that'll crush us. And you mentioned, Michael Gerber and the E-Myth, which I had the chance to hear him speak a few years ago here in Seattle at an entrepreneurs organization meeting. And, he talks a lot about value, talks a lot about pricing. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are scared, a lot of business owners are scared to truly push the envelope on their price. And one of the things that crushes businesses the most is an inability to keep up with the delivery of the product or service, right? The sales have taken off in such a way, but getting a great service, great product, finished and closed financials out the door each month, that has been a big challenge for us. So what we've done is continually push the price up and tested that upper boundary and not been shy to say, like, hey, I think our price for that's going to be $400 a week. And have a client say, gosh, that's expensive. And I say, well, yeah, but you'll probably be a client for the next 5 years, and we'll scale and grow with you, and you won't have to have this bookkeeping and accounting transition again. That's worth it. We have team members that have been with us. You mentioned that part-time team member in the kitchen, and when we first started, Kelly is still with us. She's in Chicago. She's got 2 kids. She is our controller and HR director. She serves several of our very complex clients, and we pay our team extraordinarily well and give them a lot of flexibility. And hey, if they want to move from Seattle to Chicago, we want to keep them, right? And so we continually push the price up so that we're filtering out clients that might be okay clients, but really looking for the clients that are going to be great clients and then can afford to pay us what we're worth as a team and the solution that we offer. So I think that's one of the big challenges we've faced that hopefully resonates with folks listening today, is that challenge that idea of fee, challenge that idea of value. And, I mentioned to our team a lot, even though it might be that we're making a really, really healthy margin serving a client on one of our weekly engagements, if we're delivering an extraordinary amount of value in consistency and reliability and dependability, and here we are 4, 5, 6 years into the engagement, that business owner sleeps well at night knowing that with integrity and accuracy and efficiency, we're taking care of those financial underpinnings, that foundation of their business, and the value is there for them. They're not complaining about the fee. And so I think a lot of people are shy to, push on the fee and make sure that they're pricing themselves in a way that's scalable and that they could build a good business. I think that's probably one of the biggest nitty-gritty challenges we've had to overcome. And I'll share one more real quick, and that is, as we've continued to grow as a team, the processes we talked about, Michael Gerber several times in the E-Myth, and building out processes and checklists and procedures, which I think is something you're really good at, right? And you coach and help a lot of business owners with processes and checklists. And as we've grown, we've realized that what got us to $500,000 isn't going to get us to $1 million. And we're having that same conversation now. What's gotten us to the fact that we're at $1.2 million a year in revenue is not those skills, those processes, that workflow software, that bill pay software. Those things aren't going to get us to the $2 million a year firm that we aspire to be. We're going to have to think differently and learn differently. And so, going back to the idea of mentors and coaches, it was an honor. 6 of our team was just at QuickBooks Connect. I got a chance to speak. Intuit shared a video on our team and the power of relationships and technology. And yet I was there all ears trying to learn and grow and take ideas back here to our team of how do we expand from the way that we're doing it now to the way that we want to be doing it 6 months or a year from now. And if that means paying for coaching or attending a seminar or purchasing a new book or whatever that relationship looks like, that's what has worked for us. And I think when I look at other successful firms, that's often what works for them, is not resting on thinking that we've got it all figured out. But if it takes coaching or books or seminars or going to conferences, doing those things, right, so that we can better improve our processes and our software and our understanding. In our industry, you and I talked about this before the call started, so much has changed in 10 years, and I think so much will continue to change in the next 5 to 10 years. And we've just got to be ever students and constantly learning so that we're able to take advantage of when that new piece of software comes out that we can improve our firm, our clients' lives. We're ready to implement it. We're ready to embrace it. So I would say value in pricing and team capacity and figuring out what tools and processes we're going to use to continue to grow and scale. Those are 2 real challenges that we've had and still are real challenges. There's lots of things we push on and we're trying to resolve as a firm, but thankfully, and I'd end with this, I love our team. I admire that our team is dedicated and talented and caring and compassionate, and it's a great team to figure these things out with. It's great to be on the journey with them. So whether we stop here and we're at $1 million, $1.2 million, and 15 team members, or whether we double that, it's a fun journey to be on. It's a great team and a set of clients to be doing this work with. So most days I wake up and really am excited about the life that I live and the life and work that we get to do. So I'm okay continuing to grow. I think as an entrepreneur we want to do that, but I'd also be perfectly content to just keep serving clients and work with the team that we've got because it's a lot of fun. It's really rewarding.
Absolutely. Delicious conversation. I gotta say, I love your passion for your business. I love your ability to communicate it. I mean, for me as the host and asking questions, I mean, you basically answered all of the questions I wanted to ask you. And so thank you on behalf of the listener. Thank you. You gave away so many ideas and thoughts and concepts that I know will both inspire them and as well help them take new and interesting and exciting new actions to grow their business. Maybe they dream of a $2 million business, or maybe even just getting to 6 figures, to 100,000 for them is going to be the dream. Wherever it is, whatever it is, Jeremy, my hat is off to you. Thank you so much for sharing and inspiring us to, fight the next day, get up and do it again. So
Amen.
It's been great having you.
Thank you for having me, and I'd encourage listeners, keep growing, keep pushing, keep listening. I looked through the podcast list. You've got a ton of great podcast material out there, and I've listened to some of it now. Keep listening and growing and reach out. Don't be afraid. Go to my website, ask questions of us, ask questions of others around you, and good luck on your journey, Michael, and good luck on your listeners' journeys.
Thank you. Well, that wraps another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast, and what an excellent podcast episode it's been. To learn more about Jeremy and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.